There's no swearing, right?
It's a military term, so
We
or it's used in the military.
prefer.
FND, there's no curse words in it.
Well, I mean, there's definitely a curse.
Well,
Anyway,
only if you.
let's move on. Let's move on. That's fine. Anthony's the new guy. Well, that's it.
All right, here we are.
Cool.
We are live, folks. Yay, it worked.
I'm gonna get out of hand.
Pull it
Gotta
together.
keep it tamed.
Tell us how many people are watching.
One so far. I think
One.
it's
It's
me. Pretty sure it's
It's a great crowd. That's what we need.
Yeah. Good job. I'm going to.
Is Marty like in the other room watching?
Oh, Kathy Tishone.
Yeah.
Kathy Tishone is watching.
Oh,
Hi, Mom.
Supposedly she'll give me a refill a little bit later if we need it.
Oh, that's a good idea. I should get Liz to.
I'll just get like the ghost hand coming in with a glass and then Hey Mark, how are your neighbors? Is everything fixed from that tree or is it still all messed up?
No, their moving day is like December. He keeps
geez.
adding to it. It's like a $500,000 project now. They're just going ham wild on it. They're just like, yeah, we'll put in some new marble countertops while we're at it, and like $6,000 this and that, and
So they're just like they're getting the insurance money to fix the house and they're choosing whatever they want to just
the insurance money only covered like so much. They
yeah.
finally removed the tree stump for $500. But
That was a big tree.
it's huge. Yeah, so they're not moved in yet, but when they do, it's going to be like an epic just mansion, which it already is, but like even more so.
Yeah. They gonna kick you out then?
Hopefully not. Hopefully they like add a hot tub to my back deck or something, or like, well,
There you
know
go. That'd do it.
$500,000, like throw in a hot tub or something. Or...
Is that Frankie?
take his Porsche.
What?
Take his Porsche.
He bought a Porsche for like $2,000. That was just sitting in a barn somewhere with 24,000 miles, and let me.
I'm assuming not an old one or not a new one then, right?
998, but like in mint condition.
24,000 miles.
Mint condition.
That's like how much Mike rides a year.
A day.
So yeah, Mike, what is your yearly mileage?
Tomorrow, actually, I'm gonna hit 10,000 miles tomorrow.
Man.
You gotta pick up those numbers, man. Come on.
Size like Popeye's arms. It's just like.
How are you gonna celebrate 10K?
Fine.
You need one of those helmets that has like the beer and like the straw as you're driving. As you're riding, yeah.
How's your rider's tan? It was getting pretty good there for a while.
So pretty good.
Oh man, we have a whole bunch of people joining us. Laura Najarian is here. Ted
Hello.
Soluri is here. We have
Laura, she could like come over because she like lives a mile away, like, and sit on my porch and watch this whole thing.
It's true. She's gonna sit outside.
You don't want the peanut gallery there.
Oh goodness. We're gonna wait a couple more minutes. Yeah, we heard that too.
How do I?
I don't know. We're gonna wait a couple more minutes for those watching to get a couple more people logged in here, and then we will get started.
Like you have the loudest alerts.
Yeah, you do.
Well, maybe someone can leave a comment on how to turn the volume
Walk you through tech support.
New message sound. None. Oh my god.
Have you tried turning it off and on?
I can't hit mute because then I won't be able to, like, hear you guys.
I know. Mark kept emailing me with technical questions about how to like cross-reference this to Instagram, and I was like, I don't know. I got nothing.
I figured it out.
That's good. I'm glad.
That's why I texted you too, because I was like, I
have no idea. It turns out
I had to get Marty to help me because she knows how to actually do things on Instagram and Facebook. So.
Maybe there should be like a Atlanta Symphony musicians Instagram account, like separate from the ASO. Like
yeah, we're thinking about it. It's definitely in the works. Okay, we have a whole bunch of people watching with us, so I think we will get this started. So hello to everyone who's watching on Facebook. Thank you for joining us today for Backstage Banter with your ATL Symphony musicians. We have with us tonight the trumpet section. We have Stuart Stevenson, Mike Tishone, Anthony Limoncelli, and Mark Malignac. We're really excited to, I said it right. We're really excited to just kind of chat today and catch up as a group, and also to answer any of your questions that you have. So please feel free to ask any questions in the comment section. I'll be monitoring that and throwing it to the guys as we go along this evening. I thought it would be good to start by telling us what everyone's drinking tonight.
Ooh.
Yeah, Stuart, what do you have?
I'm drinking a Negroni.
Negroni, very nice.
So it's gin, Campari, and vermouth.
Excellent. Mike, what are you drinking?
Tonight is a Chilean Pinot Noir that we
very good.
picked up last night just for fun, and it's cheap and it's light and it's tasty.
Are you allowed to do that? I thought you had to have Italian.
It's made by Italian winemakers. So does that count?
Oh, loophole.
Sure.
Mark, what are you drinking? That looked really interesting when you held it up earlier.
Gin and tonic, kind of my go-to, but I threw in some cucumber to class it up a little bit.
Very
And
fancy. Very
Hendrix
fancy.
for those gin connoisseurs out there.
It's a good one. Anthony, what are you drinking?
Drinking a Scotch Ale by Oscar Blues.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. So I thought we'd start. Yeah, nice and dark. We'd start by introducing the newest member of our trumpet section, who is Anthony. Anthony is starting with us this season, and it's super exciting because this is the first time in a long time that we've had a full force trumpet section.
Since before I got to the orchestra, right, Mike? You're the longest serving member here, so.
Been a minute. We had a full section. No, we had a full section your first year, right, Stuart?
I mean, not an official section. I mean, we had, acting. So I guess officially, I mean, it's been at least at least 8 years.
Yeah, it's been a long
Year
time.
before you got here, I guess. Then,
Yeah.
That's
So,
all.
Anthony, we're super excited to have you here. Can you introduce yourself to our audience? Tell us a little bit about where you're from, where you went to school, where you're coming, where you're moving here from, all that good stuff.
Yeah, sure. My name's Anthony Limoncelli. I'm from Long Island, New York, New Hyde Park on Long Island. And I studied a bit in the city. I studied at MSM and Juilliard. So Manhattan School of Music for my undergrad and Juilliard for my master's. And then I did some more graduate work at Rice University for about a year and a half and won a job in Sarasota as principal trumpet. Was there for about a season. I started halfway through the 2018-2019 season, and then played a full with them, or whatever.
Boy.
Did you let me out?
Yeah, you cut out for a second. Oh no. Wait, are you there?
Oh no, where?
Yeah. Okay, there you are. We got you. Okay, so you were there for half a season, and then you played a full season as principal trumpet. Is that what you were saying? Oh no.
Yeah, so I started during the 2018-2019 season. Oh no.
There you go.
Yes,
No,
that
we got
is.
you. We
Yes,
got you.
Yes.
You're cut off.
Okay.
Who is your internet service provider? We're going to make sure no one else uses them.
Xfinity. Yeah, it's actually a task to get this set up. So.
Oh no.
Like
Well,
the way that rolled off your tongue. It was like,
Yeah, so about a.
Oh no.
All right, nobody talk. Anthony,
Well,
go.
Anthony, I think I was telling you before, but that was my.
There you go.
I played in Sarasota for 2 seasons before I started here, also. So it's nice to have a fellow Sarasotan up here in Atlanta. Great. Well, welcome, and we're excited to get to know you a little bit better here, and to play with you once we finally get back on stage. So I also wanted to ask Stuart and Mike, since you guys were on stage yesterday, one of the very first services that we've had live and in person since March. So how was that? How was it going on stage and with all the protocols and playing together? How did all that go?
Well, the protocols weren't bad. I mean, we had to, we have to get a COVID test, and then we had a temperature screening when we walked in. But then we had to go, down certain sides of the hall. But once we got on stage, it was nice because we could keep our mask on until we sat down and we take it off to play. It was a little wonky being the only 5 chairs in the whole stage. It's a big stage, and we're definitely not used to that. but it took a little while. And once we got into a groove, I think it was better. But it was so nice to play in a room that's more than 12 feet deep or whatever, and just be able to get your sound out there. And I think maybe as a brass player, it's a little bit different, and it just feels so much better.
Yeah, it was interesting. We, all the protocols are all totally fine and made me feel pretty safe. But when we were in the group, we were in a circle. Typically, we're kind of in a more of a almost a V shape or like a U shape. But we were really initially set up in a full circle, pointing at each other, which is, I don't know, different. So we were experimenting with stage setup, and Robert Spano, our music director, was there to sort of just listen and provide some feedback from what he was hearing at various places in the halls. And but it was fun.
And normally we're set up in that U V shape because we have an audience. But obviously we don't have an audience in the hall. So now it's like, okay, well, let's do the best setup we can do for the sound for all of us. And then, when we can eventually record things, hopefully we'll have that all dialed in and figured out.
What did the stage look like? I know they were saying that they were going to take some of the, like, I don't know, somehow do something to the shell so that it was like, there was more ventilation. What did it look like?
It was normal when we got there. Everything was closed up. It was in its full configuration, so it was totally empty aside from the chair stands and some plexiglass. But by the end, we did have the stage guys vent the sides, and apparently it helped the sort of just the general sound and the slap back we get from our hall. It can be very.
And we've done that with the orchestra. You remember doing that, and it made I think even more difference with just being 5 brass players on stage, because it's just, even when we're playing soft, it's kind of not quite soft. it's out there, and so that really helped with the slapback. Yeah, like he was saying.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I'm I haven't played with anybody else except for my husband, who's a cellist, like in a group at all in 6 months. So I'm really looking forward to getting back to work next week for sure. So what's that?
I was gonna say it was nice. We'd done a quintet thing at the Botanical Gardens in July. When was it? I don't even know.
I honestly don't know. It was like somewhere between the first month of March and like the third month of March. Like it's just somewhere back then. I don't even know. I think it was July. Yeah.
It was definitely nice to just sort of play and remind yourself, oh, this is what it's like to play in tune, or try to play in tune, or try to play in time. That was good.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the first month of March versus the 6th month of March or whatever we're in right now, what have you guys been up to? What have you been doing, either musically or not musically, to keep yourself sane, to keep yourself occupied during this time? Stuart, why don't we start with you? Have you done any projects in your house?
Yeah, and now that you put me on the spot, I can't think of like pretty much any of them. But we'd finished having a deck built that was kind of in the process anyway. So that's nice to be able to go outside, minus the mosquitoes right now. But there's some times where it's great and there's nothing. Did a lot of painting, finished up a bathroom, demoing part of my basement to try to redo it and maybe put a studio down there. We have a pool table down there that I haven't used in probably like 3 years because it's just, there's basically no light, there's spiders, and I don't want to go down there.
Oh, Jacqueline says bathroom. You did something with your bathroom.
Yeah, the peanut gallery. So yeah, our
You added toilet paper.
we finished the guest bathroom. Yeah, we finished that. That took a while because I was just on my own timetable on that.
Right. It's so impressive. I feel like you've done so much to that house. You've done so many projects, and you've done so many of them yourself. It's really impressive.
Regular Bob Dylan.
There you
I
go.
was telling Anthony, I was like, now I'm going back and trying to fix the thing that I messed up the first time.
Re-edits. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Re-edits. I like that.
Right. Mike, what have you been up to?
Gosh, a lot of bicycle riding. yeah, a lot of bicycle riding.
Yeah, for those who weren't here at the beginning, Mike just said that he's about to turn over 10,000 miles this year on his bike, on his bicycle.
Yeah, it's been
That's two
it's
oil
been a little
changes.
bit. Well, I missed it. What?
That's 2 oil changes.
Yeah, I've definitely ridden my bike more than we've driven our cars this summer. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But that's taken up a lot of time. My wife and I also well, we've been consuming some of this, and then we decided in the early days, let's make a blog and we'll write about wine, and that's been really fun. So go to www.vinovistas.com. We have lots of little blogs about wine, and it's been kind of fun. It's been a fun distraction. And
Nice.
yeah, and then we also just moved into a house right before this whole pandemic hit. So we just sort of been getting settled here and trying to do what we can around the house and not spend too much money, which we have not been successful with that. But it's actually it's fairly busy.
Am I frozen?
You're good.
Oh, okay, good. I froze. My internet froze for a second. Mark, why don't you tell us what you've been up to?
Let's see. I went home for about a month and a half. So I just got back to Atlanta about 2 weeks ago. Just been trying to like keep life as normal as possible without going out too much. I work out quite a bit, but my gym kind of shut down, so I had to find as much workout equipment and weights and basically put up a home gym in my garage basement downstairs. So, been keeping up with some exercise. That's been pretty fun. Just to, you know, have some sense of normalcy. Going home was good. I got to see my parents.
Where is home for you?
Cleveland,
Cleveland.
Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess there's a Cleveland, Georgia, so I'd have to differentiate Ohio and
Isn't everything Georgia?
Yeah, there's
yeah.
a Dallas, Georgia. There's a
Rome, Georgia.
Rome,
So
right?
basically, yeah, just practicing. I took about 3 weeks off just to kind of clear the system, just give myself a break, mental break, physical break, and then got back into it and just been trying to live as much as I can within the confines of not going out too much.
Right. Yeah.
The
The
new
work.
normal.
Right. The
Yeah.
working out has been very important for me too, just to keep myself sane. Just getting out every day and trying to take walks and doing what I
It
can to.
it took like a good month to find like a place that would sell free weights, like dumbbells, and I called around and everybody had the same idea. They're all like, okay, we're gonna just start working out from home. We're gonna like have this home gym, and the guy that I rent from, he has a bench press downstairs, like in the garage. So that was like a huge blessing. But it took a good month to find a place that I could get some dumbbells and just do minimal, like what I can do at the gym, but enough to keep in shape at home.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think everybody because everybody's gym shut down, so everyone was buying up all the free weights,
Oh
and
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
it's no good. Anthony, how about you? What have you been up to besides moving to Atlanta?
Oh yeah. Well, I was lucky enough to have some playing opportunities. I played two recitals at a church in Sarasota, kind of spaced out in a month range, which was great. And then aside from the trumpet, at the beginning of quarantine, I was really bored, so I took a coding class through Stanford,
Oh,
which
nice.
was free, and I was always really interested, so I did it, and it was cool. I didn't do the final project, so I hope my teacher isn't watching, but I'm sure she isn't. Uh, I've been cooking a lot and staying active physically and doing some yoga. Yeah,
You're a
went to
Stanford
the beach a
graduate.
lot. What?
You're going to be a Stanford graduate.
Yeah, right. No, I took I took a 5 week course. I could tell you where forest fires are right now if I look at an image.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I went to the beach a lot before I got to Georgia. Tried to soak it in as much
That's
as I could. Yeah.
yeah, that's smart. That's really smart to do. Awesome. Um, so speaking of keeping in shape, on the trumpet and on our instruments, did you guys do anything specific to get yourself back into shape in order to start thinking about getting back to work this week? Do you have any tips?
Just try to get back into a schedule. You're frozen, but not your audio. There you go. I think just trying to get back into like an actual routine every day. I couldn't do what Mark did. Would take the 3 weeks off. I think I would go crazy. I think I took maybe 4 or 5 days off tops, like in a row, and then I was already kind of losing it then. But
It's
just like getting
it
like,
it gets the longer you wait, though. You gotta get to that
thing, man.
Well, I'll just try to get it, like, wake up, we'll have some coffee, and then just practice and just go to the point where it's like I'm feeling like maybe I'm getting a little bit tired, go a little bit further, and then be like, okay, that's enough. Let's do something else. And just try and get back into it. Playing in the hall. I mean, I'm lucky I was able to go in yesterday. That was so nice. I stayed around for a few minutes after the rehearsal and just played some more, and then I got really tired and I decided that was a terrible idea. That's not going to be that helpful anymore. But it was nice to do while I could.
Yeah.
It's for better or for worse. I think for us in the trumpet section, when we get back to work, we're going to sort of ease into things, right? Because we have a lot of Mozart and Beethoven, some Haydn. So there's nothing too physically strenuous these first few weeks. So I think that's kind of a nice thing. Oftentimes we come back from the summer and we'll have like a Mahler symphony, and that puts a dark cloud over the whole few weeks beforehand. Just like I got pounded. But so this is
we can work our way into it rather than
easing into things a little bit. So and brass quintet's a great way to sort of do that too. So.
Yeah.
And it's been nice not to have any like oh my god. Hold on a second. I gotta let somebody else go. Thank you. Oh my god. Ugh. Those were bubbles. That was a dinosaur bubble gun. Okay, so I don't even remember what I was saying. Let's somebody else go.
I've been practicing some rotary trumpet just to kind of gear up for basically
likewise.
Like not 6 months, but the next like 4 months. Like I think all of our rep is basically rotary trumpet. So a little bit of a different response and a little bit of a different tone production technique than just playing regular piston B flat C trumpet. So I've just been like incorporating that the past couple of weeks into my playing, like about 30 minutes to an hour of rotary trumpet playing, just kind of familiarizing the intonation, tendencies, response, just on easy stuff, just Schlossberg, long tones, lip slurs. I don't think we're playing any piston trumpet at all. the next.
We could.
Right? We could. Yeah.
Well, we're doing. What about that program that has Tombo on it? Does that have trumpets?
Tombo and there's also one in Singleton.
Mother.
Is that the other one?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few pieces, but yeah, pretty much everything is ounces rotary.
Oh, we have that Baroque program. There's a
that one's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
It's piston.
I don't think anybody nobody has a rotary piccolo, I don't think.
I have a rotary piccolo. That's all I play, actually.
All right, you're out.
I'm
you're
just
out.
kidding.
I need a rotary flugelhorn. I think that's the key to success. Is a good flugelhorn.
That's the one I have. Yeah.
First trumpet. Flugelhorn ever.
Fantastic. Anthony, how about you? What have you been doing to keep in shape or get back in shape?
Yeah, I didn't really take much of a break because of the recitals. So it was important for me, I think, to not just keep playing technical drills, play stuff that I really enjoy on the side too, because I can be a really technically focused practicer. And I feel like at the beginning of quarantine, everybody wanted to become a superhuman by doing all the things that they hadn't done before, whether that was musically on the trumpet or not, physically or anything, gaining skills. So I tried to balance it so I didn't burn myself out, and I think I did a good job of it. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, that's smart. Doing recitals is a really smart way to stay in shape and to be in shape. That's like the most taxing thing that, at least for oboe, I'm assuming it must be doubly so for a brass instrument to do.
Right, but it's really different from orchestral trumpet playing. I mean, as you know, colleagues have said, this is going to be very touchy, sort of light stuff, and so it's just kind of can you execute something at the right time?
Right, right. That's very true. Nice. I'd like to encourage anybody who's in the comments who wants to ask questions. Please feel free. I am monitoring them, and I'm trying to throw them to our lovely trumpet players as much as they come in. We have a whole bunch of ASO members who are watching with us. We have Juan de Gomar just joined in. Michael Kurth is here. Jacqueline Rainey, I saw her name come up. Bruce Kenny, the whole brass section's showing up. Kim Gilman. So this is really nice. It's really a nice way to reconnect with everybody.
Nervous now.
Okay. What's that?
I'm nervous now.
Sorry.
You guys need something to do. Let's go.
There's nobody here. It's just
Saturday night, people.
We have another request asking what Mike is drinking. We all want to know what wine Mike is drinking.
Is it a red?
It's red wine. Yes. Yeah. A Pinot Noir from Chile. And it's really good. It's really tasty.
Did you get it at Costco?
No, I didn't. No. Which kind of kills me. I love, that's a great place to buy wine. But there's this great Smyrna World of Beverage right down the road, and they have a great selection. That's where I got it.
Mike, are you sponsored by Costco?
There is
get
another
sponsored by
wine
Costco?
blog that is sponsored, partially sponsored by Costco, I think. He only reviews wines he gets at Costco. Well, I don't even tell you the name of the website because I don't want you to go there.
No, you only go to Vino
Fair
Vistas.
enough. Fair enough.
VinoVistas.com. That's where you go.
That's where you go to get all your Costco wine reviews.
I bookmarked bar.
Barefoot, Yellowtail, Carlo Rossi, like all the good
Franzia?
stuff. Not
Franzia.
fancy Chilean wines, but just like the good earthy wines.
The box.
Yeah, or in a pouch. It could be in a pouch. I mean,
I think there's actually. I think we'll probably do a boxed wine review at some point.
yes.
Kirkland
Can I
makes.
be a part of that tasting?
Yeah,
please?
can we all be a part of that tasting?
Yeah.
We could do a socially distant tasting. Why not?
That's true.
Masks on. Would that work?
Plastic cups.
With masks on.
Like, I mean, no fancy glassware. Just
You gotta get a bendy straw so you can stick it up through the mask.
Or under
That's
the
that's
mask.
exactly how you want to drink wine, through a straw.
Nice. Well, speaking of wine, I know that Mike, you guys are big foodies too. Have you guys been cooking anything interesting or good, or have you been to any restaurants and eaten some good takeout since we've been here, been in quarantine?
We have eaten out at a restaurant once since March. My wife and I, Liz, we just don't feel super comfortable, especially dining indoors. We've done maybe a couple outdoor things in addition, but it's been very, very infrequent. But I'm really lucky. My wife, Liz, she's a fantastic chef. So I've been spoiled in that regard. So, and she's really sweet. Like, she'll sometimes say to people, "Oh, we've been cooking this, we've been cooking that." And I'm just like, "No, you've been cooking." I could do some breakfast and stuff like that, but I'm very amateur when it comes to all the other things. So, but we've been eating home a lot, and it's been great because we can monitor. I think, what goes in, and we got Fitbits, we've been counting calories and all those kinds of things.
Very fancy.
Some things are kind of alarming.
you're gonna come back like so muscled and in shape with like 10,000 miles a day thighs and like 2 calories on your dinner menu and.
Do you guys have a grill at your place?
Actually, you got up and started walking around during a rehearsal yesterday because he hadn't had enough steps in for the hour.
Oh my god!
He put his mask on and just started.
There was a lull in the rehearsal, and
He decided to take some personal time.
didn't get my steps for that hour.
Speaking of which, Stanford Thompson asked, how are we staying in shape during these days and how are you staying motivated? We talked a little bit about how everyone's keeping in shape, but how about motivated? That's a tough one, yeah.
Man,
Good
that's
question. The
Yeah.
follow-up to that,
Let's let one of the other guys talk. They haven't spoken much yet.
in shape physically or in shape like Trumpet? That's the
I
question.
Yeah,
Yes.
those are both good questions, but yeah, I think that we've talked a little bit about staying in shape both physically and trumpet wise, but how about the motivation? That's the tough one, man. That's been so hard.
Yeah, every day is different. Some days you have more motivation than others. And some days you just have to push yourself to do it. And I think you have to notice what your energy is that day and see if you need to add more of your mental energy to kind of go do it, because sometimes it's not going to automatically happen.
I think the start of the season is like a good motivator. Like, it's easy to just like coast and like, all right, we don't know when this is going to end, and you know, if you take another day off or if you kind of like go light for a week, no big deal. You got next week to kind of like maybe kick back up. And I definitely kind of went through some like roller coaster weeks of just, like I kind of don't want to play too much this week, or what's the point? But now with the start of the season coming up, and I'm like super grateful and thankful that we are playing. It's kind of like that is a motivator. It's like we're we're working and we're gonna be playing together, and like that's that's something to look forward to.
And I think to your point, Mark, like, not only are we going to be playing together, we're also going to be playing for like the internet, right?
Yeah,
Our concerts. So it's a little extra, I guess, motivation. Yeah, is the thing, because it's going to live out there somewhere probably forever. And
yeah.
sometimes it's easier to be like, if I don't get it this night, I can get it tomorrow night.
Right. I think it's like when you have like an actual physical deadline or a physical goal that is tangible, that is like not moving. Like, this is the day
Yeah.
of the this is the day of the first rehearsal, as opposed to, well, I want to get better in like X number of months. It's too ambiguous. It's too cloudy. It's like it's okay if you don't put forward the steps, but for me, it's been like, okay, well, I took a little bit of time off and kind of eased into it, and now I'm like ramping up my practice a little bit more, and things are like back to normal as far as like routine wise and motivation wise, and it's like, okay, back to work, and you know, this is the date, and we go from there.
And what Anthony was talking about, he'd said, everybody was trying to become like a super player at the beginning of this, like just trying as hard as they can to do everything. I think I tried to do a little bit of that, and I was trying to assign myself projects of things that I couldn't do well, and I was, it was helping for a long while, but then you start getting burnt out doing that. So then it was kind of more like trying to balance what will keep me in shape and what I also want to play, just to enjoy, and just trying to weave that in here and there, and then just starting to record myself some, because that's like Mike was saying with keeping things online forever basically. It can be a good or bad thing depending on how the recording goes. So just
To
getting
jump
some
off of
personal
that,
responsibility.
yeah, to jump
Especially on
off of
such
that,
a
actually,
short
yeah.
timeline.
Yeah,
No,
I
go
was
ahead.
always also lucky to have some colleagues, outside of Sarasota Orchestra and now outside of Atlanta Symphony, from schools and, just all walks of life, that like we would share our playing. If we were working on something, we'd send it to each other. And so that was a little bit of a motivation to just keep improving and, just keep pushing each other to get better.
How about you?
Nice.
But this feels like when there's so much time, your mind can like get really ambitious. Like, wow, I have like 6 months or more, or I'm gonna try to fix everything. Like, and it just becomes like an overload. It's almost like too much time for your mind to like wander and think about what you want to do, or what projects, or you know what you want to accomplish. And sometimes it's nice just having that a little bit of like the guardrails up to like keep you in place a little bit. Like, for me at least, it just seems like a little bit more structure is better than, well, it's open-ended. Just keep, like the world is your oyster. Just practice as long as you want. Like it's like diminishing returns at some point.
It's kind of like being at school, but nobody to tell you what you're doing is right or wrong. You're just like, well, I think it's helping, or I think maybe this is actually hurting. Maybe we should stop this. And we don't know that until like a little bit after. So yeah, just keep tweaking it.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, we have some comments about Stuart's hair. Adam wants to know if you could give some sweet hairstyling tips, and then Martha says you steal her dry shampoo. So just so you know, there's a peanut gallery going on in the comment section with all of your friends and family.
Yes, dry shampoo definitely helps.
Okay. On another note, we have, let me find the name. Ted Slatovich asked, what are the manufacturers of your main piston trumpets?
I play a Bach Philly with a Melk lead pipe and a Bach B flat. That's, yeah.
Mike, how about you?
That he owns or is on trial?
Oh.
Yeah, I only own 2 C trumpets. Both are Bach C trumpets.
How many do you have currently?
I only have 3 because Anthony has the other 2.
I have the Yamaha.
There you go. There you go.
He's like, hey, can I try those other Yamaha trumpets? I was like, sure, fine, here you go. But I sort of switch regularly kind of between Bach and Yamaha on the C trumpet.
He's just never satisfied. Just gotta go for the next horn.
You know, it's always the trumpet's fault. I mean, never me.
That's true. There's always another gadget you can buy to make it better. This is how oboe players think too.
It's the reed's fault. It's not.
It's the reed's fault. If I just buy another gauging machine, everything's gonna be great.
I don't buy mouthpieces. Let's put it that way. I have like one that I've used for like the last 15 years. So that's probably better than the rest of these guys.
Yeah, that's better.
I'm going like 4 years strong on one. I don't know.
Yeah, Anthony, how about you? What specifically they're asking about piston trumpets? I don't know if this is the same thing.
My C trumpet.
Great.
Yeah, C trumpet is a Bach Artisan, but it has a first generation Yamaha pipe on it, and I play Bach 37 B flat. So
very good. And
pretty
Mark?
standard.
I'm pretty right down the pipe. I play a Bach 37 B flat.
Gold plated.
Gold plated.
Right.
And a
Mark has a gold fetish.
229 trumpet, also gold plated.
Nice. I'm sensing
gold-plated.
a theme. Everyone seems to be playing Bach trumpets in some capacity or other.
And we'll dabble
very
and
good.
try things out, but yeah.
Right. I remember a couple of years ago we got a picture on the ATL Symphony Musicians Facebook page of Stuart with all of his trumpets and all of his mouthpieces like laid out in front of him, and it was quite the array.
There are too many. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have like millions of reeds. It's not even a fair comparison to like what you guys do.
Well, I mean, yes, but they don't last very long. That's the problem.
And they take up a lot less room.
They take up a lot less. They make a much bigger mess.
I have a closet of horns. Yeah, you have like just a little.
Yeah,
case.
I started calling my studio where I make reeds the hamster cage just because there was like cane shavings. Yeah, it's no good. All right, so let's talk a little bit about online teaching. I know this has been a thing. Are you guys teaching on Zoom? How's that working? What are you guys doing in terms of teaching?
Yeah.
I've been using FaceTime because I don't have a laptop that has the Zoom capabilities of being able to change the audio levels. Just using an iPad, and for trumpet, FaceTime seems to work best that I found so far anyway. But some of it just depends on the connection. But it doesn't get overloaded by the sound, and I usually have a microphone plugged in so they can try to hear me a little bit better. And half the times I'll put in some earbuds or something, and then half the time I'm just listening on the speaker and it's fine. Just kind of depends on how I'm feeling that day.
What kind of microphone are you using?
I figured out a way to get my old like Zoom H2N to be able to plug into the iPad, but you have to have like a special adapter to make it work, which took a while to figure that out, which isn't ideal because I don't think it's really designed for that, but it seems to work okay.
That's good.
And I usually have
Mark?
my students, send me a couple of videos like the day or two before, just so I can get another, a different audio version of it.
Intense homework.
Well, I mean, I'll listen to some, not like I'll take some notes, but it's not like listen for 20 minutes, like, all right, let's get every little thing down.
Yeah.
No, you get the gist of it and you're like, okay, I think it's just so you can tie into what you're hearing live,
Right, right. Mark, you were going to say something. Have you been teaching online?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot. I was teaching at Georgia State with the start of when the pandemic hit. I had 5 students weekly, and then 3 additional students, so a total of 8.
Oh, wow.
And kind of just bounced back and forth between Zoom and Skype, FaceTime. Um, it's tough, like if there's a bad connection, there's only so much you can do. Like sometimes the sound is distorted, sometimes the video is delayed. I'm using a H4n, the I'm actually talking on now. At least for my end, I think it helps when I'm talking to them or playing and demonstrating. But I think it helps if, unfortunately, if both parties have somewhat good equipment, so it might, be limited for what students can afford. Um, uh, it's challenging, it's I've tried to get like creative as far as like Stuart said, like send me a video, in your week's practice session so that I can hear it maybe on your a better microphone setting or get a closer up view. Um, I'm gonna start, I think, doing some in-person lessons with some of my private students. Very, carefully, obviously, but I think like there's no substitute for like playing in person. Like, we're limited in terms of, at least for me, like I learned best by like being in person, hearing a sound, like having somebody back and forth, and you can get as creative as possible, but there's no replication of just being in the same room, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
I'm starting to like open up things with some of my private students, and we'll be very safe in my place, and but I think.
And Mark, are you going to do it downstairs in like your garage area, just like, open everything up and,
No,
what do you?
no, because my landlord is like in the middle of renovating his place, so like a lot of his stuff is in the garage. There's no room. But I'll just leave this chair and stand right next to the door. I'll have like some hand sanitizer, and I'll kind of sit where I'm at, which is at my desk in the other corner of the room, and just it'll be more than 6 feet. It's probably gonna be like 25 feet or something.
I was just curious. I'm planning to open like doing lessons in my garage when it's not. I don't want to be sweating the entire time, so maybe once it cools down a little bit, then I can start in-person teaching. So I'm just trying to get an idea of what everybody's doing.
Yeah, yeah.
7 degrees isn't hot. Cool, it's mild.
Plus a little humid, just a little humidity.
Very good. Mike, have you been teaching your Kennesaw students online?
Yeah, I started online with those with my guys up there, and it's echoing what Stuart and Mark have said. It's frustrating, for me, and when I teach, one of the biggest components is sound, and it's just impossible to get over Zoom any indication of tone quality and consistency. So that part's been a little bit frustrating. I've been using a Zoom mic for myself, but again, just like Stuart and Mark are saying, if you don't have a mic on the other end, it's hard to really get into what they're doing. What I've tried to do that's maybe a halfway decent substitute is I've been using the acapella app a little bit with some of the guys, and I'll send them the first part of a duet, either like 30 seconds or a minute. So the sound quality is pretty good actually, and at least that way, in real time, they can sort of react and pick up on pitch and rhythm and all those things. That's been, now have them send it to me like ahead of time, and then we'll like sort of go over it together in the lesson, just so I can say, hey, check out the pitch here, or rhythmically it was a little questionable, or musically I was doing something different. So that's actually been I think a useful tool for the students. Because playing duets is also it's a big part of lessons, I think, and how we all improve and improve certainly our listening and reacting. But it's been helpful that they can hopefully go back a few times and listen, and it's not just like, an immediate thing like, all right, you're terrible because you didn't get this cadence or whatever. They can go back and listen themselves and be like, I didn't get that. I don't know. That's one. And they're short, 30 seconds a minute. Tiny little duets. But I found that to be kind of helpful.
Are they doing? Is Kennesaw doing any in-person teaching, or is it like?
Kennesaw seems pretty liberal so far. I'm gonna try next week actually to go up. They have a couple lecture halls where we can be, 25 feet apart. And I'm gonna give it a try. I guess campus is pretty empty from what I understand, but I'm gonna give it a shot. See how comfortable everybody is, and we're getting regular COVID tests over here, so we're supposed to do it once a week. So I've returned 2 negative COVID results so far. So
got my negative result today.
And I know at Emory, it's all virtual. At least for trumpet, I'm assuming for all the instruments, it's the same, which which kind of sucks. But it's hopefully maybe next semester things will be a little bit different. I'm always just hoping to use like the Schwartz Center like on the stage and be able to teach there and just be like, okay, I'm just go practice afterwards. And
I know, or Tharp.
I don't think it'll happen.
That'd be great. I think that, as far as I'd heard, there's the chance that there will be some chamber music coaching in person, but I don't know if that's gotten organized at all yet. But I'm just teaching. I'm teaching.
A lot of it's just just wait and
online.
see.
Actually, I have one. Yeah. Sorry, my internet keeps cutting in and out, so I'm not sure if you guys. I'm catching like most of what you're saying, but guess I have Xfinity too, so it's.
Well, half the time I can't tell if Anthony is like frozen or if he's just not moving, and I'm like, maybe it's his connection or maybe it's just his face.
He's doing.
Am I still frozen?
He's like focusing his energy and it's
Yeah, it's open-eyed meditation. Am I still frozen?
No, you're good.
Okay, sick.
I think I'm frozen. This is.
No,
fun.
you're good, Emily.
I love the internet. We have someone whose name is Namita SYCZ, who says, "Mark, we miss you," and Martin is watching as well with me.
Oh, that's great. It's a relative of mine in Toronto.
Oh, fantastic! Fantastic.
Hi.
And we have lots of people who are all joining in. Nice. This is lovely. Okay. So have you guys been listening to any music or any podcasts that have been keeping you company during this time? I know for me, at least, like I've been doing a lot more walking around my neighborhood, and the podcasts have been very. I've been going through a lot of them. Have you guys been doing anything similar or listening to anything that's been good?
Yeah, I mean, so my wife and I drove actually down to Pensacola, Florida, to drop my dog off with my parents, stayed with them for a little bit, and then we drove out to LA through Colorado. So it was this long travel, and then on the way back, we had a lot of time to listen to things. But there's a couple of podcasts I've gotten into. One is actually a trumpet player's podcast, Ryan Beach. He does a podcast. I think it's called "That's Not Spit, It's Condensation." I think Mark was on an episode earlier on. Yeah. So I've listened to those, and he asks great questions, and he can get a lot of people with great jobs, and just all in between, not just trumpet players. And you can get a good spread on things, and I like to listen to that when I'm working on stuff around the house. But on the drive out to LA and back, my wife and I listen to a lot of My Favorite Murder. It's I don't know how to describe it to people, but it's a podcast about people who research murders, and I don't know, but it's like done in a comical sort of way that's not so dark, and it's very enjoyable for us, like something just to take up a lot of time, and it's not music related, which is kind of nice to just get out of that side of things.
Yeah, for sure. Has anybody else been listening to anything good?
Radiolab's been pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, well, you go.
Yeah, I listened to this project through Radiolab called The Other Latif, which is a really cool story about these two Middle Eastern folk, one from the US and one that was in Guantanamo Bay. And it's really fun, like how they met and how their stories intertwined in a way. It's a little more serious than, what Stuart was talking about, but I usually only listen to news on the podcast too. So I listen to BBC News because I like hearing the British take on what's going on.
Yeah, Marcy Gurno apparently also listens to My Favorite Murder. She said, "Stay sexy and don't get murdered."
Murdering us, yeah. My wife got me into that. That's not something I found on my own for sure. And it's a great podcast.
Mike or Mark, have you guys been listening to anything?
I never got into podcasts like super. I don't know. I just no. Short answer, no.
Mike, how about you?
Well, predictably, I listen to cycling and wine podcasts, and it's the Tour de France is happening now, so I'm.
Oh, it's actually happening?
It's happening, yeah. They finished stage 13 today.
Did they allow any Americans in to the country?
They did. 3. There are 3 Americans.
Oh.
Yep. So I watch it every day if I can, and if I can't, I watch a replay. But then all the podcasts come out afterwards. So my wife and I drove from Vermont on Tuesday.
Did you do it all in one day?
One shot. It was a long day.
Oh, yeah. That is
We left.
What was that? 14 hours?
No, it's more than that.
More than that. We left at 3:45 in the morning, which is crazy, but we did. It wasn't intentional. We just were up, and it was. Well, why not?
Time to go.
We just got in the car and went, and she slept some, and I caught up on some, Tour de France podcasts. We didn't pull in until 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
But it was a day. But between cycling and watching, we watched a few little minutes of the tour on the drive. That was kind of fun. I blew through like my whole data plan for the month. And then listening to some wine podcasts. Wine for Normal People is kind of a fun little podcast that we like to listen to. And then, yeah.
Have you ever been
make a wine podcast?
A bike trainer with like a glass of wine while you're watching the Tour de France? I mean, like.
That's a good idea.
Right? Like, find everything. Like, just get it all done at once.
No, he's frozen.
I played trumpet
There he is.
while riding a bike. Well, on my trainer in the garage. I did something on trumpet.
Do you still have that video?
Need the wine.
Yeah, the wine. I didn't have the wine in that one.
Yeah. I'll send you a can.
To put in the helmet there.
Yeah.
Mike, do you have other suggestions for other wine podcasts besides Wine for Normal People?
Gosh, what's this guy's name? Levi Dalton is the guy's name, and he does great interviews. They're super geeky though, so you have to really be into it. Let me see if I can find it. Hang on one second. Sorry. Wine for Normal People, and it's called I'll Drink to That. And he just does really, super in-depth interviews with like a lot of winemakers. There's also those movies Somm, have you guys heard of those movies Somm, where they follow the sommeliers? It's a great movie. There's like 3 of them now.
It's on Netflix, right?
What's that?
It's on Netflix, yeah.
Yep. I think it should be online. They've got a series of podcasts where I think it's the director interviews some of the people from the show, but also just some other winemakers or a wine industry and beverage industry people. And I think that's pretty fun too. And I think that's just called. I can't find it. Sorry. But if you search for Somm, SOMM, Somm TV podcast, there's some stuff on there that's pretty interesting too.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts when I make reads. Also, I find it a lot easier than watching TV because it's all I don't have to look at anything. So I've been listening a lot to a podcast called Every Little Thing, which is by the Gimlet media company. They do Reply All and Science Versus, and they have a whole series of really interesting podcasts. But Every Little Thing is pretty great. They focus in on one like tiny little like area for each podcast. So they had one a few months ago about the life of orchestral musicians. Actually, they like and like then they have the next one is all about
Boring
flamingos.
as of late, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was more than several months ago. It may have been in like January. But then like the next one will be about like flamingos, or like the next one will be about like what do spiders see. So it's really interesting and very lighthearted, which is helpful. The host, much like our favorite second clarinetist Marcy Gurno, is very into the puns. Um, so it keeps it very light and very very interesting. Nice. Okay, so now we get to my favorite part, and I really hope you guys have some stories. But my favorite thing that we've done on the past two backstage banters is talked about any funny or embarrassing stories of things that have happened on stage. We've heard from Rob Cronin, who showed up late to a concert, and Todd Skitch had to play principal flute on a trial week for a movement of a Haydn symphony. Uh, we've heard about people not knowing where their music was and trying to play. I think that was also Andrew Brady had to play principal bassoon on a Haydn symphony, didn't have his music, so he was just guessing and playing a third above the second bassoonist for the entire piece. Um, so, do you guys have any great stories about funny or embarrassing or ridiculous things that have happened on stage during rehearsal or during a concert?
I'm gonna have to think about that because I think most of the time when something like that happens, my brain just automatically shuts off and it's like, we're not remembering this. This didn't happen.
Right,
This
right.
was back in Youth Symphony, New York Youth Symphony. I think I was a senior in high school. We were playing Rite of Spring at Carnegie, and I was
Wow.
playing second trumpet. Yeah, it was really cool. I was playing second trumpet, and the beginning of the second part, this very soft mute section.
Yeah.
We had been playing it on these metal mutes for a long time, and whoever was playing principal was like, "I want to play it on these lyric mutes today, the concert," and I was like, okay, I guess. So they gave me a mute, but the corks were sort of worn. So I put it in the trumpet, and halfway through down the page, when it's just first and second trumpet playing this really soft thing together, my mute falls out on stage, and so like I immediately have to shut off my face to try to play as soft as possible. But then I forgot. So then there's a little string interlude, and I had to crawl underneath the clarinet player's chair to get my mute. And Carnegie has, 3 tiers, and it all wraps around, and everybody's watching me crawl and get my mute so I can shove it back in. So
Oh, that's pretty
An
now I
funny.
always make sure my corks are good.
That's like an obstacle.
Right, that's the thing. We end up learning from these horrible situations, hopefully. But anybody else? Mike, you raised your hand. Do you have something?
Oh, and I do have something, but I raised my hand because I also played in New York Youth probably like 40 years.
Oh,
Played one concert with them too, so
Oh, there you go.
You have a sordid history with New York Youth. Okay, so this will take me back a little while. I think it was the summer of my first season in the orchestra, and we were
that was
playing
a long time ago.
What's that?
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I think it was 2003, and
Was Anthony even born
Renowned
yet at that
concert.
point?
What's that?
yeah,
I said, was
something
Anthony even born yet at that point?
Like
I think it was elementary school, maybe.
I was 11.
I went from the youngest person in the trumpet section to the somehow now I'm just like the old guy, you know.
I'm the old guy in the oboe section, so I feel you. I don't feel like I should
Like,
be,
you're
but
a
I
fine
am.
wine. You're a fine
Sicilian wine.
Chilean.
So we're playing a concert in Gainesville, Georgia, and it was this really wild like program with the first half ended with American in Paris, but there was probably like 8 or 9 small pieces beforehand. And I was I was talking with the assistant personnel manager at the time, Eric Johnson, who was a fantastic friend and just a great guy. I said, hey, should I be on stage? And he said, oh, no, just hang out back here. And I don't know if you guys have been to Gainesville, but there's like this sort of train depot and some dressing rooms in a little green room, and it sort of surrounds the stage. So it's pretty easy access. So it wouldn't be too much of a big deal for me to walk on when American in Paris kept coming up. So every few minutes, I'd look over to Eric, and we were just chatting. I was like, hey, it's time yet? Said, no, you're cool. You have a few minutes. Another piece would finish, and I mean, like I said, there was 8 or 9, so we kept losing track. Is it time yet? No, you're fine. You're fine. Okay. Finally, after one last, back and forth of, you're fine, don't worry about it. I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden I hear, I'm like, oh no. I need to be like on stage. So I had to like run and duck through a bunch of percussion equipment, and then Chris Martin's playing first trumpet. I'm like ducking behind him, and of course he noticed that I wasn't there. And then I like duck into the third trumpet chair, and I sit down, and I don't think I actually missed my first entrance.
Oh, that's good.
But then I also sat down, so I'm playing third, and then next to me was Russell Williamson, who was the personnel manager at the time, was playing assistant principal horn. And I'll never forget, Russell just looked at me, because I didn't have tenure at this point, and I was freaking out. He just looked at me above his glasses, and he was like, what on earth are you doing? And so that was pretty embarrassing. And then the second half of the program, I wasn't actually supposed to play. But our former second player, Joe Walthall, looked at me during the intermission. He said, Mike, why don't you play this Brahms 4? He's like, Mike, why don't you go ahead and play Brahms 4? I was like, okay, well, since I showed up late, I may as well stay and play the rest of the program. So I'm sight reading Brahms 4 in the second half of the program. But I was mildly stressed, running on stage, there's nothing like that feeling of, oh, that's a problem.
That's like every dream I have every night, basically. You just described every dream for the past 25 years.
It's like,
just all stress dreams.
Right, yeah.
It was stressful. It was funny. I can laugh about it now, but at the time, I was not a happy person.
Yeah, I can understand that. Oh, man. Stuart, do you have any stories?
The only thing that comes to mind, I'm sure there's a bunch of them, but like I said, like I think my brain blocks most of them out. Mike, do you remember my first Mahler 5? I've only done it once now, and it was a few years ago. And it was my first time playing it with the orchestra, and I was pretty nervous about it. To the point where it was like things were getting a little bit shaky when I was warming up. And the first, and it just went all over the place.
Oh.
And Donna Runicles was conducting, and it was just kind of like, great. This is our new principal. Perfect. Yeah, I'm so happy we're here. The next take
That's
was
also
fine.
a dream I've had for the past 25 years.
Well, now you don't have to worry about it because I already took care of it for you. But that was pretty bad, and actually to the point where like some of our like Chris McLaughlin, one of our orchestra managers, way up in management, was like, "Hey, I heard about your Mahler 5 today. That was pretty bad." And I was like, "Oh, Jesus."
Oh no.
And I don't know if I had tenure yet or not. God, I hope I did, because if you had heard that, you'd been like, maybe this is not the one for us.
I don't remember that
Perfect. It didn't happen.
concert, but I do remember that you did not have tenure yet. We met after that week. So it must have
Perfect.
been
Yeah. So I redeemed myself then. It's all about that. It's about how you bounce back from it.
There you go.
My the week that I got tenure.
Stories of, like other people. Unfortunately, I don't have like any of myself, but like I've, a ton.
Mark never messes up. He
Never.
He just watches for other people to mess it up and write it
Oh,
The
down.
gold trumpet, man.
The gold trumpet, yeah. It's the Obi-Wan Kenobi that saves the day. No, I wish I had like some Mel Broil stories or like something like that, but
Oh man. Yeah, there are some. There are a few that I know I'm not gonna tell in public. But there's definitely been times, especially, I mean, I don't know if you guys have the same, well, you bring multiple instruments to work, um, where I was playing uh, what was that, the like 11-year-old singer girl, what was her name?
Oh, the blonde girl, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, Jackie Evancho. Jackie Evancho. We were playing a Jackie Evancho Tony Bennett show in Alpharetta. And we were only playing on the Jackie Evancho portion of it. And I definitely, like, I left my oboe at home and I only had my English horn with me. And I didn't realize it until I got there. I mean, and like, I was playing second and English horn. I mean, luckily, like, the second oboe parts were minimal, so I was able to transpose it kind of on the fly. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many things that you can forget at home. And the thing is, because it was in Alpharetta and our rehearsals up there ended at 6 and the concert was at 8 and that's rush hour and it was during a weekday, I couldn't go home and get it. So I had to play the concert on English horn also. But no one was listening for the second oboe. Everyone was listening for Jackie Evancho, right? So that's fine.
I don't think we've forgotten our horns ever that I know of, but I'm sure there's been times where we've passed equipment around and been like, I just forgot it. Give me it. I mean, I've worn the wrong thing to work, but luckily there
Yeah.
was some extra clothes lying around in the locker room. You throw on a pair of pants that's like 7 times too large, but it'll work.
I've done that a few times.
Yeah. Or like I've definitely seen people like, one person is playing the first half and someone else is playing the second half and people like frantically like switching like tux jackets backstage because they brought the wrong jacket.
I
I was
Um,
thought,
playing in
I thought of two stories I can share actually.
yeah, please.
Two audition stories, so this is pretty good.
Oh yeah.
One was when I was in fifth grade. So I was playing the trumpet for about 9 months at this
Oh.
point. Yeah, well, that's
How do
basically
you
where.
remember this?
Um, and in Cleveland, there's a fantastic youth ensemble, the Cleveland Orchestra Youth Orchestra, and it's mostly like high school aged wind and brass players. And I'm 10, 11 years old, and I've been taking trumpet lessons for only like 6, 7 months. Um, but I had a very encouraging family, and my aunt was like, "You should audition for this group. Like, you sound great on Hot Cross Buns. You should go for it." So, I worked up what I could with my teacher at the time, and the list was standard orchestral excerpts, which included transposition, and I had not learned transposition, and I didn't know what transposition was, so
Or how
I
to play yet?
or how to play. The list required a concerto by Haydn or Hummel, and my teacher at the time just said, "Yeah, that's not going to happen. We can't have you do that." But I showed up. So I showed up, and it was in May. So I'd been playing and having trumpet lessons for like 9 months, and um, in the backstage like warm up area, there's all these high schoolers and hot shots, and they're all playing pictures at an exhibition in the right key. And they're seeing me with my like B flat trumpet, and they're like, so you're transposing that, right? Like I'm like, what are you talking trans? No, I'm playing the trumpet. Like a G is a G. Like, and so they're like, okay. So I walked out on stage, and they asked, so what's your solo piece, the Haydn or Hummel? And I just shouted out like as confidently as possible. Yeah, I couldn't find the concertos. Like my teacher said they don't exist or something. Like I couldn't find a concerto. And like I could like just see them like taking the notes, and they're like, okay, all right, okay. Well, like the guy's like
Next.
the kid's like 11 years. Well, what can you play? So I played pictures at an exhibition on B flat in B flat. I played Pines of Rome on B flat in B flat. Like it was a learning experience, and I got like the nicest reply from the personnel manager that was like, you're a little young for the group, but you played well. Like keep practicing. So that was kind of funny. Um, and then the other, I guess, learning experience from an audition. It was early on in my like audition series. I was auditioning for principal trumpet in Indianapolis, and this was probably around like 2008 or 9. I think it was like the third audition I had taken. Um, and I was driving from Cleveland to Indianapolis. It's like 6.5, 7 hours. Um, so I worked out the list, and I like got in my head like what I thought they were going to ask on the prelims, and drove at like 5 in the morning for like a 2 p.m. prelim time or something. I wanted to like it was just not going to work out just based on like driving in and driving out the same day. But I went, and for whatever reason, like I had it in my head that the first thing that I was going to play was the solo piece. And so I walked out on stage and I started playing the Haydn, and I was like, and I was like going well. I was playing like through 2 lines, and the proctor was like trying to get my attention. He was like kind of waving. I'm like, what is going on? I'm just playing. I'm just like singing. This is going great. I'm like phrasing well, and eventually he's just like. So I stopped, and he's like, "Did you look at the list?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, so the first thing they wanted to hear was pictures, not any solo. So I'm like, oh my God. Oh God. Okay. Regroup. So I played pictures, and you can imagine how that went. And then the second,
the right key is the question, though.
I played the right key. I had a C trumpet by that point. I think I played because they let me play a second excerpt. And the second excerpt, I think, was like some passage from Heldenleben, the B flat part, the like chromatic, like the chromatic part from Heldenleben, which I also didn't expect, and I didn't learn it. I was like, it's a prelim, it's going to be pictures, and so I played on my B flat trumpet because I didn't like learn the you can imagine how that went. So I played like the wrong solo at the beginning that they didn't want. I barely got through the first excerpt. Then I played like it didn't even sound like the right excerpt, and I was just like, wow. And then I drove back 7 hours back home. I was like, wow. All right, so what did I learn from this? Basically, learn the entire list and like look at the page before you start playing.
I like your confidence. That counts for a lot, but yeah.
I started
It doesn't
off.
help if it doesn't help if it's the wrong thing.
Until I realized that wasn't what they wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Tony, how about you? Do you have any
what?
embarrassing stories? Or
You
you
told us
already
about
told you. Oh, that's right.
He's crawling around on the ground.
Well,
Yeah.
actually,
Wow.
well, then there was one in December where I was really under the weather, and I had to play this very intense choir gig in Sarasota because choirs are a big deal down there. And they have a lot of them. And they were playing these really hard arrangements of Christmas tunes. And so I was playing one on E flat because it just was in the upper register the whole time. But for some reason, I thought it was a D trumpet. And I started playing, and it just was off a half step. And I was like, what's going on while I'm playing? I'm like, playing the notes, and they're just completely wrong. And then I realized like halfway through the phrase when it gets the loudest part, and like I like lock into it, and I just wanted to curl up and just like leave. I'm done with this. It's like the first piece, I think. So I ruined Christmas for. It's like a.
It is. It's a very big deal down there. All right. I think with that, that's about as much time as we have tonight. Thank you to our wonderful trumpet section for being such good sports and joining me and drinking with me on Zoom tonight. Thank you to everyone who asked questions in the comments and who joined in and watched with us. We're really excited to get back on. Well, besides Stuart and Mike, they've already done this, but the rest of us are excited to get back on stage and work and play together. And we're really looking forward to a very different but a very good season. So thanks, trumpet guys. Thank you guys for.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks for doing
Right.
this.
Yeah. Good night.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Bye.